Hey folks, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy's Ted.
Today we're going to delve into Mordenkainen'S Tome of Foes. We're doing Dungeons & Dragons monsters. In this video, everyone's getting stoned.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
As always, in the description, you're going to be able to find a link for Amazon to get your own copy of Mordenkainen'S Tome of Foes. We're delving in here. We're on page 240. We got the Stone Cursed, and these guys are a lot of fun at a party, but maybe not for your adventuring party.
All right, so we're dealing with a monster. It's a challenge 1, armor class 17, 19 hit points. It's not that big a deal to deal with, but it's got some amazing lore and some pretty cool abilities.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I was looking at these, and I'm looking at the picture, and I'm like, this is some kind of undead, right? No, it's a medium construct, and they're aligned, they're lawful evil, they don't have much intelligence, they don't have much going on for the mental faculties, but it's really interesting, the fact that they're constructs, and they're created constructs from victims that have been petrified. There's a ritual involved.
So, I believe it's specifically by a basilisk, because the basilisk, their petrification is permanent, where the cockatrices only last for 24 hours.
Well, there's several things. There's Gorgons, there's Medusa, there's other ways of getting petrified. There's probably spells as well. But, you know, it does speak to using the feathers of a cockatrice or the blood of a basilisk in order to make the regency need for this ritual.
This is what it is. The ritual requires a mixture of basilisk blood and the ashes from burned feathers of a cockatrice. So that's where the basilisk comes in.
I was torn between talking about this monster as a monster BFF or just the monster itself, because I'm like, oh my god, the ideas are just flowing once we started discussing, you know, doing this monster. And I'm like, the lore is amazing. I'm like, all right, so there's a Medusa. She's the one, or he's the one that's performing the ritual and creating these guys. Maybe there's cockatrices running around. They need the blood of a basilisk, so maybe they have a pet basilisk. And like, I'm starting to, like, in my mind, envision the whole adventure you could run around this. And I'm like, you know what? You might as well have a Gorgon as well. Maybe, you know what? Maybe she or he, you know, whatever our Medusa is, they're getting tired of always turning people to stone. So they're like, they just gas them. They send them into the Gorgon chamber. They gas them. Then they pull them out and they do this ritual. And they have these hate-filled servants that are also very cool to use, because when you're looking at certain monsters like the Medusa or the Gorgon, who have either a gaze effect or an area effect with the cone that can petrify things, these things are immune to it. So they're going to become a problem in the encounter. Even if they're significantly lower CR than or challenge, I should say, than the other monsters, it's something your players are going to still have to deal with. And they're intelligent enough where, you know, they could be like funneling your players into these like other harmful effects.
So I look at this, and you know, whether you want to make the Lord some kind of other thing that turns things into stone, or whether you want to have some, you know, greater being that's hoarding people as these living statues. So one of the great things about these things is they have false appearance. So they literally, they stand still, they look exactly like a statue, because that's what they are. So you could have these statues in some lord's manor, that it's like, all right, until I tell you otherwise, you are to remain there. And they become a statue. And it could be some garden statuary. It could be, oh, well, this is my, you know, hall of art. And they walk through, and that's how he lures the nobles in and gets rid of them. And, okay, you know, they turn to stone. Well, for that 24 hours that they're stone, if he's got the reagents, can make you into one. Maybe.
I'm not sure if they'd be permanently turned to stone or not, but I think of some other really cool things that you could do with this. One, whenever you talk about statuary or a garden of statuary, your players are like, all right, you're going to use a Medusa on me, right? So it becomes a false red herring, right? Because they're like, oh no, I know what's coming. But then they all start attacking you, right? So, oh, well, maybe it's something different. You know, so then you have them, you're going to keep them on their toes that way. And then you might do some other things too, like they find the basilisk and it's been caged and it's hooded, right? The eyes are hooded so they can't use its gaze attack. And then it's like, well, what's going on? Especially if you're talking about, you know, this is a pet and there's a lord to a manor and he's the one that's actually doing it. Maybe there isn't really a Medusa.
Right.
But you know, you could lay these false breadcrumbs trails, or you could straight up do the, like, I'm going to go with a whole petrification kind of theme, and you know, and there's cockatrices running around, and you got these guys that are waking up and attacking the players. You know, there's a couple basilisks. Using a Gorgon might be fun as well. You could do things like that, or you know, even like you know, what if they go through a room that has like an arrow slit or something that's similar to an arrow slit, but on the other side of the wall, instead of someone being there shooting arrows, it's a Gorgon and it just breathes into that room, and it's kind of been like trained to do that, and so the monster actually becomes a trap that they kind of have to overcome and get past. Yes. And then in addition to that, like maybe these guys are in that room. Right, so they're fighting these guys as they wake up or in this area, and then you have the Gorgon. Every time his ability recharges, just breathes in. You can't really get at them. You have to get through these guys, and they're going to have to deal with that Gorgon later on.
The room could literally be a pressure plate that makes some kind of change in the room where the Gorgon is. That he's been, you know, trained. Okay, when that light goes on, or when that, you know. Like, they step on the plate, it lifts the thing. He's been conditioned. Okay, now I breathe. And doesn't have to do anything else other than whenever possible breathe into that room. Yeah, it could be pretty devastating.
Yeah, and, you know, you got, you know, a couple of these guys in there. Maybe, you know, maybe the door shuts behind you. The door in front of you locks. And now you're dealing with, and if you want to really be a jerk, you could use 2 Gorgons, you know, on either side of the room, and they alternate breathing. You know, because then it's like a die roll to recharge the ability, I believe. So while they're working their way through this and then figuring out how to get out of here, you know, and also the Gorgon, you know, could possibly even pull back away from the hole, so it's not even a target unless they have, you know, maybe fireball or something like that. But still, right, it does become more difficult. So
I think that's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of interesting ways, you know, beyond what we've said. So
there's one other thing. Oh. This is really cool, and this could actually be the crux of the adventure. They're cryptic whispers, right? So the idea is they still have thoughts rattling around in their stone skulls from their previous life. Well, someone who's a trained magic user can actually take the skull after the body's destroyed and extract an information. One question: what if they need a bunch of these skulls, because you can only get, it's a one-shot, right? If you do it and you're successful with the Arcana check, DC 20 intelligence check Arcana, then you get to ask like one question and it can give you one answer that it would have known in life. Well, you know, what if it's a series of individuals, like you said, this lord has been collecting other lords or aristocrats, and like you need them all to kind of like piece together a mystery, or they're in different parts of this quote unquote dungeon, which might be like a mansion or something like that, and you have to find the right ones, and then hopefully you don't mess up, you know, that intelligence check so you can get the information, and so you can almost create like a puzzle out of it.
Yes, once the check is made, whether it succeeds or fails, this skull can't be used in that manner again. So it's kind of cool, but I mean, you know, the treasure is you get an obsidian skull.
Booyah, whether it can answer your question or not. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, no matter what you wanted to go, if you wanted to, you could build the plot hook right out of the cryptic whispers, and they kind of know what they're looking for, or you could go from the idea of this just monster menagerie of a bunch of things that are all petrified or have the ability to petrify you. Look at other things that are immune to petrification, like gargoyles, I think might be immune. So you could really build a nice little themed adventure, but like the lore was really good, and as soon as I started reading it, the ideas just started popping in my head.
I completely agree. So what do you guys think? Have you dived into Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes yet? Let us know what you think down in the comments below. While you're down, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Check the description, and you can get that link to get your own copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.